Previously on Chat 62.
After that, cool Gunny Yates became prick Gunny Yates to me, and well deserved too, right? I imagine he lost all trust in me whatsoever, right? How can you believe anything I say? Why would we? He doesn't want me in his foxhole after I just straight up lied to him, you know?
Yeah.
So that, and I'm telling, when he turned around, he didn't give me shit. He didn't turn me in. I could have UCMJ'd or something, right? He was just disappointed. I remember seeing that. He was just, he's like, he gave me 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many opportunities to come clean and be honest. And I lied. I lied. So that sticks with me, not just because I'm a horrible person of what I did, right? But the lesson of, dude, once you lose trust in somebody, you lose trust. How can you lead somebody that you don't trust, right? How can you be a leader and not have your people trust you? So that lesson has stuck with me forever.
Real quick before we start, we've streamlined our contact info. From now on, if you have any questions, feedback, or ideas for future guests, just shoot us an email at chat62podcast@gmail.com. That's chat62podcast@gmail.com. All right, let's fucking go. When it came time to get out, what was your mindset like leading up to separation?
I was nervous as hell.
Why?
Because I didn't have anywhere to go. I knew when I was getting out, I was going to have to go back home. So I'm like, I go back home. And sure enough, that's exactly what I did. Went back home, started going to school. I was working and going to school, working full time and then going to school part time. But everything's still there, right? The same people are still there, families, everything is still there. So same thing, slowly started coming back. But now I'm independent. Now I have my own apartment. Now I have stuff, right? So that was there. But my mindset was kind of, I remember I was freaked out, dude. I was scared. I'm like, did I make the right decision? Like, man, I'm like, I know people come back. I don't want to be one of those guys that like, re-enlist after the fact or goes to the army or something like that. I was like, man, I want to go to school. I don't know what to do. And I was so close to home. And I mean, by that time, my parents lived in Riverside. So they ended up moving back to Riverside, which is where I was born and lived a lot of years. So I was there already, even while I was in. I don't think there was probably maybe 1, 2, 3 weekends that I actually stayed in the barracks, because every weekend I was gone. I was back in Riverside, an hour and a half away. I was driving back. I'd be back all the time. So I was there. I mean, it just, Marine Corps was almost like a job, because I was still going home. So that was it. I was freaked out because I didn't want to go back to the same stuff. I didn't want to move in with my parents. I wanted to be independent. An apartment. I had I think I had a little bit of money. I had nothing saved up, but I had a little bit of money from like a lease. I don't know, the days that you have like lease or something.
When you sell your leave back, or did you talk about terminal?
Yeah, something like that. So I had maybe 30 days I got out or something like that. So I had a little bit of money, I can't remember, but I got an apartment, and man, I couldn't find a job. I was struggling. I was hurting. Internet was in its infancy, right? This was 99. I got out in June 99, right? Infancy of internet. I didn't even have a computer. I didn't even have a cell phone, dude. So I'm living in Riverside. I'm asking people for jobs, and my first job offer was as a salesman at a spa store, like next to like Ralph's or something like that, Vaughn's or whatever it was. And I remember like, man, this is what I can do. That's it. Like I remember feeling like, man, what am I gonna do? I'm like, this is all I got. And it was like, I don't know, like $9 an hour. I mean, something like that. I was like, I can't do this. I'm like, shoot, I was stressing. And I was driving around, putting my resume, applying in places, and I finally got a job. But yeah, I just remember being scared, just uncertainty of just not knowing what to do. I knew that my college was covered through the GI, but that wasn't, I just stayed through school. I still needed to live.
Right.
But I was scared, man. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do.
Were you basically doing sales that first year?
Yeah, no. So I didn't take that job. I ended up working at Fleetwood. They were their RV manufacturer. right? So they have their headquarters, or the plant is there in Riverside. I got lucky because my uncle used to work at Fleetwood, but he worked in the line, right? So at the factory, and he would like do, I don't know what he was doing. And I knew I didn't know where to go look for jobs. So I knew he worked for Fleetwood, and I remember going, I think it was by Fontana, the factory. So I went over there, and they're like, yeah, we don't have any job. I can't remember what they said. So then they're like, you may want to go to the headquarters. So I went to Riverside, dropped out my resume, and on the spot, basically, not knock on the door, but went into the office. HR was there. I'm like, yeah, I just got out of the Marines. I'm like, I'm an administrator. However, they helped you with the resume, right? Before you get out. And they gave me the job. So I worked it wasn't, I don't know if it was part of the benefits. So it wasn't HR, or it was part of HR, but they had their own in-house retirement pension plan. So I worked as an administrator there for a while. So I did that for a couple months, going to school. I was going to Riverside Community College at night, and then working all day. It was a hustle, man. Like I wanted to go to school and just trying to do what I could, but it got boring fast. I knew I didn't want to do the whole office gig. So they had their warehouse so shipments would come in from like Long Beach, and they had a whole warehouse. So I moved into there. So that was cool. I was driving forklifts, unloading trucks, and that I had a blast. That was cool. And the reason I liked that, because my schedule was 6 to 2:30.
You started early, got out early.
So then I had hours before even my classes at RCC. So then I was able to get, like, I was going full time at RCC too. So it really worked out. So that helped out a lot. But same thing, man. I didn't want to be in Riverside. I didn't want to be there. And that's when Andy Escanuela, man, we always kept in touch. He's like, well, you got to come to the OC. It's like, what the hell is the OC? So it's Oak Cliff here in Dallas.
Oak Cliff.
Like it's not Orange County, right?
His OC, right? So he always talked about Dallas, and that dude, man, he's such a good friend, and it was because of him. He got me a job where he was working. I literally sold my truck. I had my seabag. That's all I came with. Got a one-way ticket. It was like $400, all the money that I had, and moved to Dallas. 4th of July, so exactly a year after I got out. Because I was for a year, and the 4th of July weekend, that's when I moved to Dallas.
Wow! So you spent that first year with Fleetwood, working in their
warehouse,
administrative office, and then as well as a warehouse.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Yep.
All right. So a year later, you head out to Dallas.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
So so he got me that job there, right where he was, and I needed that. It felt I was fresh. Like the distance from everything that was happening in California, that I had going on in California, was good. I got to see more. I think it was more focused. I could see like, I could see that I have this job now, and if I continue to go to school, I can do this, and then I can do this, and I can do that. I think that was probably one of the first times that I got to see professionals like really working in a corporate environment that I didn't really have before. So that was very interesting, right? I lived with him for a little bit until I was able to save enough and get my own place. But it was like a real job. Like I didn't feel like in California, man, I just couldn't afford anything. I had an apartment and I had a car payment, I think, or maybe I didn't have a car payment, but I did not have any money. I never had money. It was hard, and I was working full time. It was just different. So when I came to Texas, it felt different. Like, I'm making a little bit. I made a little bit more than I was making in California. Cost of living was cheaper, so it felt different. It felt like I was actually doing something, And from there, that's when I started, same thing, or continued to go to school, not right away because I wasn't an in-state tuition. I didn't want to pay the out-of-state stuff. So
it has to be more, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, man. If it wasn't for Andy, none of this anything in my career or anything would not have been possible without fucking Andy, dude. And I haven't gone back home since. Never. Like I said, I'll never go back to California. Never have. I'll go visit and stuff, of course, but I knew Texas was the place, and like I said, he's hooked me up. Like I said, I mean, what kind of a person opens their home? You know, his wife, he had his 2 kids. They had just had their second baby. She was a baby. I remember his wife was still breastfeeding at the time, so she was tiny, right? And I was staying in one of the rooms, you know. It just it tells you the kind of person, not just that Andy is, what that family is, right? I got to meet his parents and his whole family, and dude, solid freaking people, and like it's just beautiful. I love him to death, and I don't know how I could ever repay anything he's ever done, and he's done it selflessly, dude. Like
Never asked for
at
anything
any
in
time,
return.
I just gladly helps. He'll help anybody. I just felt like that. He just did it out of his own. I didn't beg. I didn't ask nothing, dude. Like everything is just like, it was just like, well, of course you're gonna stay here, dude. Like, yeah, man, you're gonna live here until you're ready to go. Like, it's just, so anyway, it was and then brand new city, brand new state, brand new everything, you know?
Fresh start.
Yeah, and then shit in Dallas in July, dude, it's hot. So coming here, I was like, what the fuck did I do? There's no way. I can't go back now, but yeah, it was crazy. But you know, it was the best decision I ever made in my life.
So 4 years after getting out, let's fast forward a little bit, the same length as your enlistment. What's changed? You left California and you went to Texas.
I think it was the focus. I think having the focus of, it felt like I was almost able to shift, not just the focus to my career, know where I wanted to go, or vaguely where I wanted to go, right, to grow in my career. But I think I really had to shift the focus to myself too. I got to be by myself and like try to figure out, everything that I did was with family, with everything, with the church, with everything. So I was by myself doing everything. So I got to experience myself. I got to learn. There was a lot of stuff that I had done before that I had to like process, and just everything, dude. I was growing and maturing. You know, how do you live I was 20, mid-20s, let's say. You know, like you're a grown man at that time, dude. Like I felt I hadn't matured much, right? I felt like I hadn't accomplished I need to get my shit together. It was kind of like that. That focus kind of opened up, right? And so 4 years after that, I mean, you're talking about 03, 04, right? That's where I was like, I knew where I wanted to go in my career, or at least what I wanted to do to keep progressing and kind of advancing, right? And so, yeah, by that time, I had clear focus of where I wanted to be, and where I wanted to go. Yeah.
How does civilian life measure up to what you expected?
I don't know. It's I don't know. Living is tough, you know. So there's a certain comfort, security, and simplicity in the military, right? Like you know what you're doing every day, and then there's certain things that are, I don't know, they're routine, that are normal, and all that. So civilian life, I don't know, it's just totally different. It just feels different, right? When you're struggling, you feel the struggles, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When it's tough, like it's fucking tough, right? It's just different. So I thought it was going to be easy. I thought I was going to go to the Marines, get training for years, come out, and shit, I'm going to have a cake job, you know. And even like my family, I remember that's the way they would talk to other people, and like even to me too. They almost saw like me going to the Marines as like a college degree almost, you know. Like even my mom was telling people that I was an engineer, I think, or something. I don't know. Like in Spanish, like ingeniero is like a very common, like it's almost like, I don't know. It's somebody who's going to college, they just throw that out. So she would mention things like that. Like I almost had that in my mind too. Like, oh, I'll do my 4 years and I'll get this great job and I'm going to be making all this money and it'll be cool, right? But reality is much. But I remember thinking like that, like, oh, civilian life is going to be so much easier once I get out. It's going to be so much easier.
Little did we know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
From 04 on, what were the biggest challenges that you faced?
Like in the military or just in general?
Well, just in general after you had gotten out.
I think the background, right, of how I grew up and everything that I had, or to put it better, everything that I didn't have. Never had a home, you know, always had apartments, like that kind of stuff, right? and then finally being able to afford certain things or do certain things on my own, being independent, doing all that, but not knowing how to deal with that, because I never had the opportunity to really grow and mature as a man, as a person, right? So I felt myself almost experimenting a lot, like figuring shit out, making horrible decisions, learning from decisions, and doing stuff. So I think a lot of it, like I was a 25-year-old kid, like still trying to figure stuff out and learn stuff, and very immature at times, doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing, just that kind of stuff, and it takes certain experiences to really mold your mind to the way that it should be, right? And how you mature, and not knowing where to go and where to turn and how to get all that too, so it was a tough time to adjust.
Yeah, we think it's going to be a cakewalk, and it's anything but.
Yeah, I was by myself. I had Andy, but I'm a very, I don't know, very close. I don't share a lot. I don't know, it's just different. Very private in the sense that like I'm a loner. I'd rather be alone and hang out, right? So it was a lot of that. Like I did it, a lot of stuff by myself, just trying to figure out, right? If I have a handful of very good friends, but that's about it. Like all of that, just trying to figure stuff. That was tough. Just trying to figure it out, because I didn't have anybody to direct me or to guide me in where I wanted to go, right? Like my dad they never went to college. My mom, shoot, I went to elementary school at the same time that my mom graduated elementary school in Mexico, She's not educated than my parents. Like nobody went to college. So I never got to see, like, I don't know, like in my family, like, oh, very successful people, right? Business owners or whatever it was. So the most successful person I had was my uncle, like I mentioned, right? Who served in the army. That was probably it. So I never really had that. So a lot of it was figuring out kind of what to do, where to go, and kind of what I wanted to do. So it was a lot of journeying and figuring stuff out.
So let's go ahead and fast forward yet again. Where are you today? Can you tell us about your work, your life, and your growth?
So in my career, I traveled a lot just because of what I did lots of work all over the world, traveled a lot, constantly, right? So about 2007, 2008, I stopped traveling. I was already in my 30s at the time. I knew I needed to settle down and like chill. So I found a permanent job somewhere where it kept me home, and that's where I met my wife. So we started dating right about 2008, and that's when stuff started coming into perspective, where everything was pretty selfish. My whole, these whole couple of years before that, from when I got out of the military, it was very selfish. It was about me trying to figure stuff out and grow stuff and do stuff, just make as much money as I can or do whatever I can. And when I met her, it was kind of like, okay, there's clarity here. So that's the next step in this whole life thing, right? You kind of, fatherhood or getting married, all that, right? So I knew that was eventually going to be the case, of course, and the trajectory in life, getting married and everything else. So met her, and she had a very similar career path as well. She traveled a lot, and then she was also stopping, wanted to settle down. So it was kind of, we just caught ourselves at the right time in our lives, right? Where we were, okay, now we're ready to settle down. We're ready to start a family, doing all that. And that's what we did. Yep. Settled down, got married, and then had our first child, and very similar goals in life, not just in our career, but like how we wanted to raise a family, right? She also grew up in a very religious household, just like I did. She's from Ghana, West Africa. So she's also an immigrant. Her parents were very strict, just like how my parents were, which is just a lot of very similarities, completely different upbringings. Her dad had money, and she grew up with money, all that, completely different from me, but still, right? Very, very similar values, raising family and doing what we wanted to do. And that's kind of what we've done. We've had a very, very strong focus in raising our children and kind of homeschooled Christian household and doing everything that we're doing now. Her dad was a entrepreneur. He had businesses. He owned casinos, hotels, factories, just all kinds of stuff. So her mindset was she's an entrepreneur. That's what she is. Her dad never worked for anybody else. They had drivers, they had people. So she's seen that lifestyle, right? And all I've seen is just people just being a worker and being everything else. So that helped me also kind of shift my mindset and teach me certain things. And how do you transition to work for yourself as opposed to working for somebody? And what are those challenges? How can you overcome those? And how do you see certain things? So just being with her kind of enabled all of those kind of plans for the future. So that's what we've done. Like I said, we've started several companies on our own. It's good, based on our career. Like I said, we have a good, she's done business consulting her whole career basically. So we do that. I do project management there too. We've done a lot of contracts. We also have several other companies that we're running. So things are good. So bringing her experience and everything that she has, and then everything that I've learned in my career and everything else has really helped out. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are now with several businesses here and there, and hopefully it gets bigger and better. And kids are already entering high school, so don't have much left, man. So we hopefully in a couple of years we can just enjoy the kids being away and still have several years left, I guess. I don't want to be too old and not enjoy life with her or life with doing fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. That's amazing. Looking back, was there a moment after service when you felt truly proud of what you had done in uniform?
Yeah, it took time, because when I got out, I wasn't, with the exception of Andy, right? But just because he's my friend, right? But with the exception of him, I was never around other veterans. Right? Sure, I mean, there, at work, some dude who served or whatever, right? But never around like veterans and like other people, other Marines, right? So being a Marine wasn't really like part of my identity for a very long time after getting out. Yeah, I was a veteran, Marine, everything I was talking, but it wasn't part of my identity. I didn't understand how all of that, those 4 years, were going to impact and help my life. I just saw it as a stepping stone. I didn't see it as, how can I take that experience and really help me in my career and everything else? And I went through a long time in doing that. So it wasn't until I was wrapping up my master's, and part of my capstone project to get my master's, it was in sociology. It was to do an internship and a project somewhere, right? And I found a veteran nonprofit in North Texas. And I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, I'm doing I do a project. I had to do so many hours of internship, whatever. I'm like, and here's what I can do and help you out. So I reached out to them, and that's how I did. So I did my service, and I got my master's all through with their help. It wasn't until that point that I saw, being around other military veterans and other Marines, and I'm like, fuck, I missed it. I missed these guys. I missed the dumbass stories and everything that we talk about. And then seeing what they were doing, I got to see people that own construction companies, people that were lawyers, people that, all this stuff. That's when I finally started seeing, like, that's where all this value of experience and all these learnings from there, how they're applying it to their career. I hadn't made that connection. Sure, that was good experience, good memories and everything else, but I really hadn't put it together. It was almost like, okay, that was my stepping stone to pay for my college and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't take any specific lessons to apply them necessarily to my career. So it wasn't until when that happened that I got to see, oh, shit, now I get to look back. Now I get to do all this. Now I need to talk. Now I can talk to these people and get their perspective and doing all that. And I felt like, man, I missed so much of the veteran community, and the value in the veteran community that's there, and the value of having that brotherhood and talking to people on a daily basis or wherever it is, or just shoot the shit or just bounce ideas out of each other. I missed all that for such a long time.
How many years had passed from that point where you realized it?
Right. And then I didn't connect with this veteran organization until 2014, 2015.
Wow.
So it was a long time. Yeah. So like I said, it was always,
years?
like I said, I was a veteran of that, but it wasn't really a part of like my identity, It was weird. Yeah.
If you can go back, is there anything you would have done differently during your time in the Corps?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. First, I think I didn't allow myself to really embrace the experience, like simply by leaving the barracks every weekend. Even that,
Yeah.
just going home, I didn't have that experience. Like, I'll talk to some other guys and they talk about their barrack stories, right? I never had that. I would always leave. Like, I would do that different. I would completely immerse myself in the experience of truly being a Marine. Even shit, just eating at the chow hall all the time. I remember I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go to chow hall. So then I'd go to the freaking tacos place, Tiendita, or whatever it's called, right? Spend money out there or do other stuff as opposed to just experiencing being a Marine, staying in the barracks and doing all that, doing as much as possible, knowing, I don't know, that's what I would have done different. Because I was still a Marine, but then I was still,
Like you said, you treated it like a job.
yeah, and I was still going back that's the first thing I would do. I would immerse myself in the experience and fully, like, just embrace that.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out their journey as a Marine or a
Yeah.
military person in general?
That's what I would tell them. I'm like, enjoy the experience, dude, and be honest with them. Dude, there's gonna be some shitty days. There's gonna be some shitty days. That's part of the experience.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, just embrace it. Know what you're doing. Oh, so kind of circling back, like Staff Sergeant Acosta, but he was like, know that whatever. I don't care if you're I don't know, working at the chow hall, but you're feeding the Marines that are the warriors that go out. Where does your role fit into this whole mission of the Marine Corps and America and the military as a whole? Have that connection, not
picture.
just like that, right? But how do I, as an admin clerk in CONAT, how does that serve the mission of the United States? How does that serve the mission of the Marines, right? Where does that piece of the puzzle fit into it? That's what I would tell the new people. Hey, yeah, sure, you're going to be doing this or that job, but here's how that job is part of the broader mission. Embrace that. And here's what you're doing, and have that experience and really enjoy it. Travel, save your money if you can, whatever, just enjoy it.
And what would you say to the Marines who are transitioning out right now, maybe feeling lost or unsure about the months and years to come?
To seek out other veterans, seek out veterans organizations that are there, right? And not even like nonprofits that provide a service, even if it's just going to the VFW or the Legion or whatever it is and have a beer with other veterans. Shit, I can have a more open and honest conversation with some dude I've never met at the fucking airport over a beer than a coworker that I worked for 4 years, but he didn't serve. It's just different. So if you're transitioning, find that community. There's so much wealth in knowledge and understanding, within the veteran community. As a matter of fact, so I met my wife in 2007, 2008. So she never knew me as a Marine. And then when she met me, I wasn't like, oh, I'm a Marine. I didn't have my flags like I do. I didn't have. So she knew I was a veteran, and then she's not American, so she never really understood that. So that's how she met me, right? She's met me, and she knew me for many years. It wasn't until we went to a buddy's wedding in Costa Rica. He's also a Marine, and bunch of veterans there, and it was just different. And she even said it. She's like, I've never seen this side of you. She's like, I like who you are with your other veteran, but it's just different, it's just different. Yeah. And she got to see that, right? So I remember when she said that was very, because even to me, when I'm around them, like I'm more, like I can actually shoot the shit. Like it's just different, right? And she got to see that. She's like, I understand now why you guys are so close. So she got to see that, and I appreciated that too.
She understood the brotherhood. I know you've been involved with some meaningful outreach, veteran outreach in North Texas, especially with the Warriors Keep. Can you walk us through how you got connected with them and what that experience meant to you personally?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, right, I got connected with them when I was completing or wrapping up my master's. Mm-hmm. And I was looking it was specifically veterans organizations, because my focus in my program was veterans, more specifically veterans homelessness and stuff like that. So I was looking for veteran nonprofits in North Texas, and there's tons, right? There's nonprofits that feed homeless veterans or that provide housing for homeless veterans or like that. But this organization, when I looked them up, they were doing like outdoor stuff, hiking, local trails, backpacking, that kind. I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. So then I reached out to them, and they had a local hike, the next day or whenever it was. So I joined. I'm like, I'll go on this hike, right? So I got my pack, and we went, and I met the executive director, also Marine, John Harden. He started the organization. So that's how I got connected with him. And on that hike, that's when I told him, like, hey, I'm going to the master's program. I need to offer I need hours of internship. Plus I need this. I need to deliver a deliverable. I had to create like a project and deliverable for the organization, whatever. So he and I got to talking. I'm like, so when did you guys start? They started like just 2 years before. They were in their infancy. They had just started. So they were going through this, like, not knowing anything, right? Because all he was doing was he liked hiking, and part of his transitioning and therapy, to get him kind of, just in his transition to civilian life, he was hiking, and he's like, well, if it's benefiting me, maybe it'll benefit other veterans, right? So he started a nonprofit. Yeah. It was him. He's a Marine. Cap Gallagher. He flew. I think he flew helicopters, but also Marine, and then a corpsman, Shane Edmiston. He's a Purple Heart recipient. So the three of them started this nonprofit. So that's when I told him, like, hey, I can help you guys put together kind of a strategic plan for your organization, right? What is it? Because they didn't know a lot of stuff either, right? Brand new organization. All they knew is like, hey, there's veterans in need, and we want to help out as much as possible. So in my career, that's what I had done in the past, right? A lot of business consulting, a lot of strategic consulting, a lot of project management, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I did for them. And I said, okay, let's put together this whole plan. And what are you guys trying to do? We started formalizing programs because they were doing a lot of stuff. They would do local hikes. They would try to do overnight trips. They were connecting generations for veterans. They were trying to connect them, right? So you have your, even here in North Texas, World War II, veterans, you got Vietnam, and then you have so they were trying to connect them all together. So then they would have, like, they would host like lunches, retirement homes, they would host lunches. So we're doing a lot of stuff. So what we did is we formalized it. We're like, all right, let's brand the program. What are we going to do? What is the intake process? How are we going to do a selection of veterans who participate, right? And more importantly, how are you going to fund this organization?
Yeah.
Right. That was critical. So then, in helping them, okay, let's put this whole plan in place. What are some financial targets? How to achieve those financial targets? Let's look at grants. Let's look at everything, right? So I kind of helped them with the business side of the organization, because they had him, and then they had other people that were doing the operations, that were doing the hikes and the overnight backpacking trips and all that. So again, we formalized a lot of that. So that's where out of that came the program of outdoor adventure therapy for heroes. So Oath. So out of that, now we had a program, and then we said, all right, what are the programs? So they're going to have, expeditions to the highest peaks in the Western United States. So highest peak in Texas and in Mexico, Colorado, everything else, right? And we came up with different levels or tiers of experiences, right? Old ass like me, I'm not going to be doing a 7-day fucking backpacking trip to go to Maldi. So then we would have other, like Estes Park in Colorado. We're in a condo, right? That's donated, but we're in a condo. We wake up early, we go scale the summit, but we're back in the same day, right? So that I could do, right? So we would do a lot of
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's how I got with that organization. Again, they were in their infancy, so I knew I could bring them value, and I knew I could bring them expertise that I had. And this was a homegrown organization, dude. I mean, think of, like I told you, John Harden, right? A Marine, and just who started an organization out of like just compassion and love for veterans and a strong sense of community and support, right? He was involved, his girlfriend and later wife, she was every weekend, right? We'd be at, community events, with a little booth, showcasing the organization, right? His dad was involved, just great, solid patriots and good fucking people here in North Texas that started that organization. And then not just the people that I met within that organization, the types of people that they were, the families that they had, the values that were shared, just everything. But in the veteran community, it's not just us. We started noticing all these other organizations that also provide support and services to veterans. We partnered with like Carry the Load, their biggest Memorial Day, right? Their biggest Memorial Day walk is here in Dallas with those organizations and other organizations. And it's like, there's no competition. I guess the biggest competition is, if I go to a company and they're also going to get money here, but we're all serving veterans. So, hey, how can I help you and you help me? So that veteran community, the advocacy for veterans was always there. And man, that was beautiful. I loved it. Not only could I bring my expertise as a project manager and business owner and everything else, but to see tangible results. And since I was doing it as part of my sociology degree, how do you put together programs that are measurable, quantifiable, to produce an outcome? How can we say hiking improves your mental health, right? Sure, anecdotally, we know it does, but how do you measure that? And how do you show data like, hey, if you go on a hike, it reduces your stress by this much, it does this, right? If you go on an overnight trip and you keep coming, it's going to reduce your stress and increase your quality of life, all that. So that's the part that I helped create, right? We did surveys, we did outreach, or asking questions, a lot of stuff like that, to get data and measure, to be able to solidify these programs, to then get more money and get veterans out. In 2018, we had he came up with the idea of going to Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, you're crazy, dude. We're trying to go to Colorado and New Mexico and stuff, right? And so that was kind of a stretch goal for us. We're like, fuck it, dude. Let's figure this out. Let's do it. So we started going after money. Nobody got paid. Everybody was volunteer, right? We made it happen. So in 2018, whatever it was, we sent the largest group of veterans to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. It's such a successful trip. Nobody got it. Well, there were some minor injuries here and there, but it was great. And what that did for the organization was it stamped the Warriors Keep as like a legitimate organization in the veteran community that offers these services. So imagine going week in, week out, seeing the impact that we're making, not just for veterans, but in the community, everybody who's helping out. North Texas is a wonderful place for veterans. The love for veterans is here. Like, Veterans Day weekend, it's awesome. Absolutely awesome, right? You appreciate it, you're loved, you feel it. You definitely feel it. So being here in North Texas is wonderful. Businesses embrace veterans organizations, just people, the community, local government officials, everything. So there's so much support. So it's been great experience. So we've done all that. COVID happened, and that threw a fucking big old turd on everything. It just stopped a lot of the planning. We were already planning for the second trip to Kilimanjaro, so we had to cancel that. But that's with every organization, right? Things evolve and they change and they shift. But man, it was such a the most rewarding experience I've ever had. Not just rewarding in like, I feel like I'm accomplishing something, but I got so much out of it. A lot of these guys that were going through were, battling their own demons too, right? And it kind of helps you also like go through your own therapy, battling your own demons and your own, kind of whatever you went through in life, right? So that allowed me to really digest and understand, right? Just hearing these guys out, what they were going through, I'm like, well, shit, I never went to combat and all that, but damn, I'm going through a lot of the same stuff too. So it helped me kind of just understand kind of mental health and everything. And it was great seeing that. So I benefited from it, but I also felt like I was providing value. And like I said, meeting so many fucking cool people. One year, I can't remember which year, but there is an organization and they give out awards to veteran organizations. It's called the Vetties.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a golden boot, their award. It's fucking so cool. So we got nominated one time for our specific category. So we got invited to DC. We went to DC, and that you're meeting, I mean, not just the politicians, who gives a shit about them, but these nonprofit organizations, like the big ones that are making a huge impact, right? and getting to mingle with them and understand and talk to them like, hey, how did you go from this organization to impacting thousands of veterans as opposed to just 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? So getting to meet all these people this is their passion. This is what they do.
All that networking.
It was awesome. Yeah. So we got to go there, got to meet a bunch of people. And like I said, it's just so rewarding to be around all these fucking warriors, dude, that are still in it. They're still doing it. They see the need. They're providing whatever they're doing, whatever they can to keep, veteran needs and veteran support in everything, right? Not just advocacy or veterans organizations, but in true like advocacy and bills being introduced at the state level, local level, national level. One of the guys in our organization, a local state rep here he supported our organization. He introduced a bill in Texas to get the state parks free for all veterans, and that passed. So things like that, they're advocating for even these little things, but they're making moves. So it was great to see all that. And I said that DC trip was just great. Got to meet some cool people. Do you remember, what was her name? The Navy SEAL who transitioned. I don't even remember him. So he transitioned to female. So we met her in DC.
Okay.
Yeah. Navy SEAL Team 6 or one of those guys, right? And he transitioned. We met her in DC, hung out with her, just telling us about when he was in Iraq and Afghanistan and everything. But she was, the face, or I don't say the face, but she was very, very vocal in veterans support. So we got to meet her. She was cool as hell. She eventually transitioned back. She's on an episode. She did an episode with, I think it was with Sean Ryan, where she talks about that transition and how all that situation worked out with her. But she transitioned back to male. But like I said, meeting all these different kinds of just cool people that are making a huge difference at the national level.
Yeah.
And then obviously locally, just meeting so many cool people, local politicians, local people that are just making, willing to do good things for veterans.
And the Warriors Keep has a lot to be grateful for, you just cradling it from just a baby and just making it grow into this organization that it is now. Yeah, no, it was part of that, the growing, right? Of just, all I did was kind of just bring things to light. And then Cody and his team, like they would just they were the operational guys, right? So they made it happen. And like I said, Cody, John Harden, he's, to take an idea and get it to where it was. I mean, it was just great, man. It was great. I've been involved with this podcast for going on 2 years, and it would be just ideal to make something grow like that. That's so inspiring hearing you talk about that. Yeah, it really is. The organization has grown, it's evolved. Like I said, I rolled off. I was on the board first, and then I transitioned to director of development, just handling some of the program stuff. But that was years ago, right? So the organization has transitioned, brand new board, brand new everything. I don't even know what they're doing. But out of that, regardless of the organization, just the people that we met. There was some guy that came through the program. He started his own nonprofit. Wow. Yeah, Therapeutic Recreational Group. Look them up. They do hunting, fishing, backpacking. Right now they are, man, on Instagram, I see them all the time, but they're doing great stuff too. So there's all of these, people that have come through the program, I'd say, and either were inspired or motivated, right? And they're doing their own stuff too, right? Like he's a good example of starting his own nonprofit, then others who are supporting other nonprofits too. Yeah, Therapeutic Rec Group. Yeah, they're legit. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to promote, mention, or plug? The floor is yours. I think that right there, Therapeutic Rec Group, man. They're a great group. The Warriors Keep, or just whatever your passion is, dude. You like fucking ceramics? There's a veteran ceramics group somewhere, I'm sure. You like backpacking? Yeah, fuck yeah, there's a group for that too. You like hunting? There's a group for that too. Find that group of veterans that just likes to do cool stuff, man. And like I said, I didn't know the value. I didn't know the benefit, the personal benefit that I would get from
participating in the organization.
Yeah.
But it's great. So yeah, look up these veteran organizations, get plugged in with them, and you're gonna shoot the shit with some of the coolest people around, and relive some of the glory days that we had. And I mean, it'd be cool. We can do something like this every week, right? So man,
I know.
it's amazing. Man, look up other veteran organizations in any way, however it is.
Yeah, definitely, man. Before we go, can you share with us, and I missed this opportunity to ask you a while back, can you share with us your experience with La Tiendita?
Jeez. I just remember, I mean, the burritos were amazing. I remember, man, when I stand up, I mean, they were amazing, right? Besides them being good, I would go there with Zape all the time, right? And this fucking pig, dude, you remember? We would show up, we would get the big ass burrito, and while we're waiting for the burrito, he would eat like 2 tacos. He's like, give me 2 tacos while I wait until we get the 2 tacos, and then he got the burrito. Man, but those were some good tacos and burritos. Man, those were good. Yeah, no, so I remember when La Tiendita is almost synonymous with Sapien, man. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
He may as well have been like a founding father of fucking La Tiendita.
Yeah, he must have. I think he's the one who introduced me to it. Because I used to go to this other place right off the road, and they also had burritos, but they were smaller, but they were still very good. Like carne asada with like avocado. They were just good burritos. But right off
was
the
it
road, it had right.
Was it Pepe's Tacos?
I don't know. I remember you could go right off the road, the main road. I can't remember what it was, and then it's like a little drive-through, and then the burritos were just amazing. And then I said, I think it was Avian. He's like, man, you like these? You gotta come with me. And then he went to the gym. Yeah, now Tiendita is solid. They're still there, you know?
No, they closed in the summer of 2019.
No way.
Yeah, the building is still there.
Oh, wow.
My buddy and I went by when we had gone to daughter's boot camp graduation. We decided to take a drive down to San Clemente, and the building is still there. The wall still says La Tiendita, but the shop is closed.
Man. No, I remember their breakfast burritos, where it was a big old tortilla, and they would do the omelet at the side of the tortilla with chorizo and everything. Oh, dude. Yeah, that was good. That was good eating right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Except for the time it almost killed Moon.
Yeah.
What happened?
When that's Escanuela's, that was Andy's thing.
Oh.
Yeah, no. He gave me it backed me up, man. I had to go to the fucking what is it, sick call?
Oh.
Because it backed me up so bad. And like I kept drinking water, and I'm like, fuck, man. This is not good. And so I went up to sick bay, and I just remember some corpsman. He's like, when was the last time you're taking a shit? And I was like, man, it's been a while. And he goes, do you think you're constipated? I go, man, every time I drink this water, it just comes out liquid of my ass. So,
Dude.
fuck, dude. I remember him going, okay, come in this room. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I think I was going to give me like a laxative, right? And he's like, need you to bend over this fucking, this like bed.
Or something?
Yeah, dude, and he puts on this glove, and he's like, I need to go in. I was like, what? You need to go in? I was like, no, man. He's like, yeah, I need to go. I said, is this going to hurt? And he goes, it's not going to hurt me. I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, that was the worst. Thanks. I always thank Andy for that one. It just constipated me, man. It just blocked me up. I don't know what it did.
I wonder why.
I don't know, man. I think I was eating too many, because you know how Andy'd always want to go?
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go, man. It's Friday. Let's go get some mamas. I was like, man, whatever.
Andy knows his tacos, man. No, I'm telling you, shoot, Dallas, especially down in Oak Cliff, right? South Dallas. Man, he knew the spots.
Yeah.
He would always hit up tacos and mariscos.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He knows some good eating.
Good times. Well, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to share your life with us and where what's been going on the last 20 some odd years.
Right.
I think I spent more time listening and really invested into this conversation. For me, what I took out of it is just very inspiring just to see where you've been, what you've been doing. It's inspiring for me. And thank you for sharing.
No, thanks for having me. It's been It's been good. Not just catching up with you guys, but just shooting the shit, man. It's been nice. So I wish you the best, man. Hopefully, keep going with this any way I could help. Let me know. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. If you know anybody that's interested, send them my way, and we'll get them on.
Yeah, you know what? Let me reach out to the executive director or the previous, where John Hard.
Yeah.
He's a good Marine to talk to. Because he'll talk about how this whole idea started and his whole journey. And yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, like I said, everybody has their story, everyone's story to be told if they want to share it.
I understand.
Well, Moon and Alex, thank you again.
Thank you, man. Good to see you, man.
All right.
All right, brother.
All right. Take care,
Yeah,
guys.
be good.
God bless.
Take care.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Later. That's a wrap on part 3 of Alex Mendoza's journey. From the culture shock of Camp Lejeune to the late night drives back to the stumps, from the chow halls in Kuwait to leadership lessons in the S3 shop in Camp Pendleton. This story has been all about finding your way when the uniform starts to fade. Alex reminds us some of the hardest pivots in life aren't about leaving the Marines. They're about figuring out who you are without them. If Alex Mendoza's journey hit home for you, or made you laugh, nod, or think, do us a solid. Share this episode, shoot us your thoughts, or send in a suggestion. You know where to find us. Until next time, thank you for listening to Chat 62, and stay the course. This is Eric from the Chat 62 podcast, Marine Corps veteran, and just another guy who's been through some dark nights of the soul. If you're struggling, I want you to know you're not weak. You're not alone. You're not broken. The truth is, a lot of us have been there. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, please just dial 988. It's free, it's confidential, and someone's there to listen 24/7. We need you here. The road's better with you in it. Stay the course.
Shut it down.